Let's get stuck into all things retention. Now, retention is one of those funny things that some gym owners aren't even thinking about. They're just spending so much time worrying about getting more leads. And then at some point you start to graduate to thinking, how can I get to keep my clients a little bit longer? Oftentimes the amateur gym owner goes through different tactics where it's like, I'm going to run this retention strategy and that retention strategy. The bottom line is that there is far deeper kind of principles and practices at play to get you to truly fix your retention issue. So this is what we're going to go through. We're going to go through some real comprehensive strategies to completely transform your gym, increase lifetime value. We're going to decrease this like turnover issue of clients. We're going to get your clients better results. And you know what my favorite part of this whole thing is we're going to allow you to really have a thriving community within your gym. So if that sounds like you, this playbook's going to be for you. The problem is if we don't fix it, you're going to keep the super high churn, right? So you're going to keep having, 10 new clients come in a month and another 10 leave. If you're a gym operating at the standard 5 to 10% attrition problem, that means that if you're a 100-member gym and you are losing 10% of members, that means you're losing 10 members a month. So even just to stay the same, you need to do 10 new member sales a month. That is mad how much work is involved in that. So even if you maintained your sales and marketing efforts, but decrease your churn, you'd grow at a 50% better rate. That sounds like something interesting to me. We also want to make sure we can re-engage members. We want to re-engage members to a place in which they can feel really connected. So that's something really important. And then finally, get you out of this constant, I need new leads, because oh my greatness, it becomes exhausting if that's the only lever you think you need to pull. All right, so let's get stuck in. Who have we helped? So I think first and foremost, let's just appreciate who are we. Number one, I'm Coach Jens. I'm head of March on Gyms. I'm also the co-founder of the Gym Owner Network and the PFCA. And collectively, we've helped hundreds of gyms in over 14 countries successfully transform their gym businesses, not only to increasing their revenue by an average of over £184,000 a year, but transforming their retention from an average 7 to 10% all the way down to below 3%. That is mind-blowing. In addition to that, we own, operate, and run March on Gyms. We have 3 sites, and the retention numbers that we hit is unmatched by any other gyms in the industry, of which we have privy to a lot of the numbers, so much so that March on HQ average attrition rate for the last 18 months has been 1.75%, and that's over 300 members. That's the levels. So if you can go through this playbook, and even if you take 1% of the lessons I teach you in this video, I know that it will have a huge impact on your business. All right. So this playbook, let's get stuck in. One of the biggest things that we need to think about is the cost to acquire a client versus the cost to retain a client. Okay. Now the cost per acquisition, if you're running paid ads, you're paying a marketing agency, you're paying a content creator, you're facilitating all these things, putting money into making sure that we can get new clients. Oftentimes you don't even know in detail what it is to get a trialist. Let's say you are the typical gym selling a 30-day trial, right? And you're spending, I don't know, let's say £120 per client to get a £150 trialist. That's not really worth the efforts. So obviously we want to fix what it is from a cost to acquire and the income that we're getting in. Fine, okay, cool, that makes sense. But what if you're spending all this time and this money on what are you doing to acquire new clients, but you're spending no time, no effort to retain clients, right? So simple maths, if you are a 200-member gym, and your attrition rate is, let's call it for easy maths, 10%, you're going to lose 20 members per month. That is disgusting. So by simply halving that to 5%, you're now only going to lose 10 members per month, which still is extremely high. So if you were to really think about how well can we change this to the 5, which is industry standard, to 4, which is considered good, to anything below 3 is what the gym owner network gyms are all about. Now we're starting to play proper games, okay? So simple math, right? Let's say your average yield per member is £200, okay? So your average yield per member is £200. There's two things to consider. Just in terms of an attrition rate month on month, if we would normally be losing 20 and now we cut that by half and now we only lose 10, so we save 10. 10 times 200 is now £2,000 a month. Over the next 12 months, if they stay, we've just now increased or saved or kept another £24,000 in your business over the next 12 months. Would you much rather spend a little bit of time and effort in changing that and having that in your business, or just keep washing this shitty sales marketing bullshit that you're doing? I'd focus on that. But what else is important here? If we do that, guess what we're going to have? We're going to have happier clients. We're going to get better results. We're going to have far more impact. And that thriving community is going to be so cool. What we care about here at the Gym Owner Network is giving you a business that you can look at and you can be super proud of. Be like, man, my gym is really impacting the lives of many, right? So the cost to retain is like, what is the cost of you not investing time, effort, money into retaining clients? It's probably in the region of £20,000 to £30,000 a year. Just think about that for a second. Okay, so I'll wipe that off and let's go a little bit deeper. So we're starting to appreciate what retention is, okay? Now let's start thinking about, well, what are the tactics? What is it that you need? And I encourage you all to do this. I'm not going to stand here and give you all the information that you need, because guess what? You don't need more information. Half the time you're spending way too much time on social media. You're absorbing all this junk information, but you're not actually practicing at a level in which is going to transform your business. You're not actually utilizing this shit and actually transforming your business. So if I were to go onto ChatGPT and be like, cluck, 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 retention strategies for my micro gym, what would it say? And there's going to be a bunch of things, okay? So I've made a list and we've got things like excellent customer service, personalized fitness programs, group classes, clean and well-maintained facilities, member engagement, loyalty programs, goal tracking, nutritional support, staff training, social events, feedback and surveys, and an online member portal. Doesn't that sound amazing? And guess what? Some of you, if I didn't say, here's my ChatGPT list, and if I just gave you that list, you might think, wow, that is so cool. I didn't think about that. But the truth is you don't need more information. You don't need me to give you the list. What you need to do is you need to go back to, well, what is your intent of how you're utilizing this information? How tactical are you going to be in actually implementing this into your business? That, my friends, is the real game changer. So there's this visualization that I absolutely love, and it's something that I've came up with about, 18 months ago. And it's not two massive boobs that are touching, it's two really cool circles. There's something in here in the middle that I'm going to talk about, but there's two things that sit either side. So if you want to fix retention, one is going to be, what are you doing from a challenge perspective, okay? The next is, what is the level of detail that you have within your product, your service, your member relationships, everything else? And if we get that right, the thing that brings these two together, right, and really kind of connects them towards each other is the word connection. It's the intention of connection. It's the practice of connection. So what does that mean? From a challenge perspective, within the PFCA, within how we teach small group personal training or coaching in general, there's this philosophy that we share, that we teach about giving the client adequate challenge. Okay? So if we're not getting adequate challenge to our clients, they will churn out. For example, client comes in as a new lead. You ask them what their goals are. You tell them that you can achieve all those goals because, hey, that's what good sales is, right? You make the sale. Well done, good for you. You promised a one-to-one assessment, personalized fitness programs, nutrition support, all these kind of things, everything on the list. But guess what? You overpromised and underdelivered. You gave them maybe some level of challenge, direction, prescription in the first 4 days, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe, converted them to member, and off you go to the next fucking lead. And you've completely forgotten about your member. So then what happens? This member kind of goes in and out of the system trying to find motivation, accountability, support, and all the rest of it. And eventually they start to lose sight of their future. So the moment a client leaves your business, whether they tell you moving jobs, pregnancy, and all the standard ones, the reason why they leave is because they've lost sight of their future within your business. And that's because you didn't give them adequate challenge, okay? Now that challenge is going to come from a few different places. One, it's going to come from your coach. So the assigned coach who's going to be looking after their journey from an accountability standpoint, their training experience on the floor, the ability for the cohesive team to know who that individual is, how we are going to train them, hold them accountable, challenge them in the gym, how are we going to get them stronger, move better, all in line with what their goal was. The actual personalized fitness program, not the bullshit that you say you're doing. So that coach is going to have to nail it both on the floor, and then something that we have pioneered is this cohort system of how well designated coach is going to challenge the member off the floor. So we talk about what is the strategies, the efforts that we're putting off the floor to truly enhance that client's journey every week, every month. There's purpose, there's meaning, there's clarity of what the future holds within their training endeavors within your facility. And the underlying principle of all that is a sense of progression, right? A sense of progression. How are we progressing? Now, for those of you who are shit at coaching, you will see progression as this only linear progression within the gym, getting stronger, getting fitter. But when you really start to graduate to becoming a really good coach, of which we can teach you in the PFCA, is that you realize that progression is going to come in many forms. How are we progressing within the gym, outside of the gym? Who are we becoming? How well are we starting to re-identify or start to identify as this new person, the person in which they were trying to become in the first place? So the first and most important thing so far is challenge. How well are we challenging our members? Let's go across to detail. Now, fundamentally, most gym owners are not paying attention to the level of detail required to truly make an impact in their business, not only just from a retention standpoint, but everything else. So what are the things that sit within detail? Number one is, what is the data that you are collecting? What are the true facts? I do not give a shit about your feelings, all right? Your feelings about your business, like I feel like I'm working so hard. I feel like we're trying really hard on retention. I feel like we're doing all the right things. I feel really busy. Shut up. No one cares, right? I care a little bit, but not that much. We need to get really nailed down on the data. So, for example, do we have enough data that we're tracking how good is our conversion rate from trial to member? How good is our lifetime value? How long is a member staying? What is our average lifetime value? What is the reasons for why people are leaving? Are we tracking that? Are we collating that? Are we getting trends? Are we looking at what is our monthly and our quarterly and our yearly attrition rates? How can we start to look into that? Is there seasons where we can predict that a higher amount of attrition is going to likely occur, and how well can we better solve that and being far more kind of strategic in how we get over that. The next is then, well, if we're tracking the data to tell us a story, and then we can use that data to interpret things, that's awesome. The next one is systems, okay? Now, the systems are vital. What systems do we have in place to make sure that we aren't dropping the ball? Now, far too many people take systems and they think automations. That is the biggest problem, right? Systems do not mean automations. Systems mean that it's a solution to a predicted problem that is in place and we all repeat it, we all utilize it. So for example, if we have a system in place during onboarding that one person is responsible to take them through a series of coaching opportunities as it pertains to challenge, and we know where they are, at what stage they are in their journey, that's a system, right? Just going, here's an automated check-in is not a system. Here's your automated member referral package is just a fucking shit way of trying to over-automate your business. It has no scale and it has no connection. The next one, and one of the most important ones, is meetings, all right? What meetings are we holding when? Now, this is a bit of a caveat. If you are a gym owner who doesn't employ their staff and you just have a bunch of freelancers who are just worried about the name on their backs rather than the badge on their chest, they will not want to come to meetings. They do not give a shit about you or your business. It's only about them. So you probably need to fix how you're employing staff before you even get to this thing. But nevertheless, let's talk about the meetings. The meeting cadence within your business is essential as a system with data to inform how well are we performing week on week, day on day, month on month, quarter on quarter, year on year. For example, as it pertains to retention, are we having a meeting once a week? We call this an at-risk meeting, where each coach who is designated a series of clients presents to us who are 5 clients who might be potentially at risk this week. And it might be low attendance, low engagement, whatever. But at scale, 200-300 members, you need to have your finger on the pulse of these people so we can start to think about interventions in terms of connection and challenge to re-engage them, give them a new sense of their future within your business. Another meeting might be around events. What events do we want to hold? Who's in the gym? What's the chat on the gym floor? What do people need? Shall we host workshops? Etc., etc. We have cohort meetings. Who's crushing it? Why are they crushing it? We have CPD sessions. Who's crushing it? What's going on with our CPD? How can we get more of that coach's behaviors and systems into the way we do it? Who's crushing it at sales? How can we learn more of that? Etc., etc. It's this idea that we're spending time in the detail to make it become a system, to enhance the level of challenge and draw more connection. Other things would be like your standard operating procedures, your policies, and just your overall standards. So things like time, uniform, attentiveness, delivering on the expectations that we said. All these things means that like the detail is really nailed. And the reason why these two aren't separate and be like, just focus on this, is to actually bring those two together. It's all about connection. And connection is going to be underpinned by a few things. One is going to be the personal brands of you and your staff, okay? So the personal brand piece is an element in which most people spend a lot of time on social media, and there is a level of connection from like your members. Your members are generally your biggest fans on social media. Now, if you and your coaches can share things that are authentic to them, that also speak to the values of the business, we're really starting to drive a culture and connection within the business. For me, for example, fitness, business, and family are 3 of my core pillars in terms of my personal brand. And you will see it in the way I live my life without limits, in chasing super success in business, super success in my fitness journey, and super present and like super quality time with my family. That in turn has reciprocated to the kind of people that I work with, the kind of clients that come work with me who go, man, I want to be able to crush business, be connected to my family, and still be able to pursue a life without limits. Jens, I love the way you operate. I want to learn a bit like you. That connection is really important. Then some of the other bits is really key. So what happens on and off the floor? So again, we got really hard in terms of the challenge, but what's the level of connection that we're creating on the floor to facilitate different relationships? So if you are hosting a dinner party, come dine with me kind of vibe, you bring two different friend groups to the table. They don't know each other, but you know that they both like golf. How can you force that connection to happen? How can you encourage this initial interaction so that they feel more connected on the gym floor? So that when they're sharing a session next Friday at 6 a.m. and they both knew that they went to go play golf with their own group of mates on the weekend, they can talk about that shit. There's a level of connection and bond there. That's your job. That's your coach's job, to know that detail and force those connections. Other things that are really important, I'll just go over here, is what socials are we hosting, what events are we hosting, and are we taking clients to comps? Now, the key is these socials and events are really important in enhancing the connection. So, for example, if you're hosting a Christmas party, and yes, it's a freaking awesome opportunity to celebrate the year, celebrate your success, bring your community together. But it is not an excuse for you to get fucked up out of your head and not actually think about how you're connecting to the members. So your challenge for these socials is you and your coaches do not get to get fucked up those nights until they've each had an opportunity to speak to 5, 10, 15 new members, different members, engage them, force them to come to these events, make sure that they are there, and then really force connection, bring them together, introduce them to each other. Super important. Other things is like, don't just do the drink thing. Not many people drink that often anymore. Maybe it's the Sunday dog walk. Maybe it's the pub crawl. Maybe it's the Sunday walk and a roast. Maybe it's a cheese and wine night. I don't know. It's got to be specific to you, your community, what is it that they like as a society, and then we go from there. Maybe it's like everyone's going to go to the Goodwood Festival. I don't know. Think about it. Be invested in paying attention to the detail. And then finally, if you are going to do comps, do it in a way that is all about the social interaction as well as the competitive edge. Make it cool. Hire a bus, even if they all pay for it, and everyone takes a coach down to the event. Things like that forces a level of connection. So when we think about the tactics, which I've shared a ton, what I want you to do is, as you've watched through this, just think about this as a principle and an idea that you're going to now invest a lot more time and effort into your retention. Now, if we think about it, now that we have this, what's the proof that this shit works? And I'll tell you this now. We have worked with over 200 gyms in over 14 different countries. And these things work. It's tried and tested within March On, and it's proof across the gyms that we work with. So much so that TaylorMade Fitness out in Ireland, who have 5 sites, they were sitting at above 10, 11% in some sites. Our average across the 5 sites now is 3%. Hustle, down in Crawley, they were sitting at 10% with a poor product. We fixed their product, we enhanced what was going on here, they're sitting below 3%. We've got a CrossFit gym. We look after so many CrossFit gyms that have introduced our systems, and they have gone from high 10s, this is CrossFit Jorvik, crushing it, high 10s down to below 3% for a large group facility. That's insane. We've got CMAC up in Scotland. He's in literally the middle of nowhere. He's charging more than most gyms in cities across the UK. His average attrition has been below 2% for the last 12 months. We've got CTPT down in Kent sitting below 2%, and we've got Hovo out in Switzerland. Also, ex-CrossFit gyms switched to our model, our unique model, introduced this stuff. They were sitting at a high 10%, terrible churn, down to 3%. It is insane, the proof, and I could keep going on. So, just to wrap up, what are the benefits? The benefits are you're going to be far more efficient. You're going to be far more effective. You're going to be able to scale your business. You're going to be able to have peace of fucking mind, that you're not stressed out and emotional every time you lose clients, and you will in turn become highly profitable. Think about adding an extra 30,000+ to your business. So there's 2 or 3 things that I care about. One, don't just take this video as like, wow, James, that was really cool. I love that. Thanks for all the gold. Sweet. Because if that's you, your business is going to go nowhere. I may not ever work with you in the Gym Owner Network, and that's okay. But I care that you utilize this shit so you can live a better life, that you can look at your business with a lot more pride. Now, there is the other side where you might want to come work with us at the Gym Owner Network. And truly, we are not for everyone. We are about helping coach-led fitness owners build seriously profitable gyms, because we are all about turning gym owners pro. Far too many gym owners are amateur in their ways and their thinking, and they've got 1 year's experience as a gym owner repeated over years and years of just shit. You've spent money on agencies, different mentorships, you've learned all these different tactics, maybe how to sell, but you haven't actually gone to the people that are the kings of turning gym owners pros, taking your gym and making it all about a high quality product, building a high performing team, and becoming wildly profitable. If that's you, simply click on the link wherever it is and apply, and we could potentially work together. However, when it's all said and done, if you've watched this amount of value and you don't implement it, that's a sign on you. So it's all up to you. Over and out.